The realm. Do you know what the realm is? It's the 1,000 blades of Aegon's enemies. A story we agree to tell each other over and over till we forget that it's a lie.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back for another Game of Thrones Season 8 video. As you all know, we are only days away from finally getting to see the great battle between the living and the dead. The White Walkers and the Army of the Dead are within sight of the Stark's castle. This will be one of the most intense episodes in the show's history. This is a day I have been waiting for ever since I saw the opening scene from the first episode. As of right now, the Army of the Dead outnumber everyone at Winterfell. In order for them to win this battle, they may have to try to kill the Night King before his entire army kills all of them first. Obviously, this will not be very easy. According to Bran Stark, he says the Night King is coming for him, so he wants to wait for him in the Godswood. They hope the Night King will separate from his army in order to kill Bran. They don't know if the dragons will work or not, but as of right now, that's their best weapon. Now, before we get into all that, let's look at some of the other images from the trailer. Here we can see Sansa Stark and Arya Stark overlooking the battlements. Sansa is finally getting her first glimpse of the Army of the Dead. You can tell by the look on her face she can't even believe what she's looking at. If you remember, Ned Stark used to say the White Walkers haven't been around for thousands of years.
Is it true he saw the White Walkers?
The White Walkers have been gone for thousands of years.
So he was lying.
The madman sees what he sees.
Sansa most likely thought they were just a story old Nan would tell them when they were kids. Now she realizes everything Jon said was true. Then they show Varys and Gilly down in the Crypts of Winterfell again. This is the same scene from the first official trailer. We also see Tyrion Lannister is down here as well. Daenerys made sure he went down there because she said she's gonna need him later. She doesn't want to lose him during the battle. He wasn't very happy about that, but it does look like he listened. Maybe this will lead to some interesting conversations between Tyrion and Varys. I'm already wondering what they will say. Here we can see Beric Dondarrion and Sandor Clegane. It looks like they're about to go back outside. Beric's sword is on fire, so I'm guessing they have already been fighting. Sandor Clegane is looking right over his shoulder. Maybe that's when the Army of the Dead have made it inside of the castle. He might be making sure they aren't coming up behind him as they go back outside. Here we can see Brienne and Jaime Lannister getting ready to fight the dead. This is most likely right before they make first contact. Jaime Lannister looks goofy as hell in that stance. I'm guessing this is right as the Army of the Dead are about to slam right into them. Now what's interesting is we did not see any sign of the Night King when his army did arrive at the end of the last episode. We were able to see a lot of White Walkers, but there was no Night King. Now as I've said before, we may not have seen the Night King, but I do believe he is very close by. I think there is some evidence of this in the trailer for the episode. Let's look at some of the images. I think there are some small details that do suggest the Night King shows up at Winterfell for the battle. There is also something else that you should consider. This will be the biggest battle in Game of Thrones history. Do you really think they would leave the Night King out of that battle? I don't think so. Now I do still think the Night King could have a strategy of his own, but I don't think he heads south without his army. Actually, I want to start the video by looking at the ending of the second episode. Let's go to the very end when we can see the White Walkers and the Army of the Dead. When Jon and Dany go outside to see where the Army of the Dead are at, it is not snowing in that scene. It's obviously very cold outside, but I don't see any snow falling from the sky. The same thing can be said when they show the White Walkers. I do not see any snow falling, so it does seem like the Night King is not there as of right now. We will know when the Night King is about to arrive because he always brings the storm. We did see this happen at Hardhome when Jon tried to get all the wildlings to Castle Black. Then we saw this happen again when Jon and company went out beyond the wall to capture a White. Then, we saw it again at the end of Season 7 when the Night King attacked Eastwatch by the Sea. The Night King does this every single time he is about to attack. When HBO released their trailer for the third episode, there is a scene where we can hear Jon Snow say, "The Night King is coming." Jon knows because he has seen the Night King do this several times already. So, When the White Walkers show up at the end of the second episode, the Night King is not there yet, but he does show up later in the battle. Like I said in another one of my videos, the Night King will most likely make a very dramatic entrance into the battle. He will show up to shift the momentum back into his favor. Now let's look at some of the other images near the end of the trailer. This has to be much later into the battle. Now we can see there is some heavy snow falling onto the battlefield, and we can even see Daenerys Targaryen flying her dragon into the storm. This is when the Night King shows up to fight. Now right before the battle begins, we can see all of their soldiers in formation. If you look to the top left of the image, you can see Dany's dragons in the sky. Jon and Daenerys went up to the hill to get them ready. Their strategy is to keep the dragons back until the Night King shows up to come after Bran. You can already see Theon Greyjoy is out in the Godswood trying to keep Bran safe. He doesn't have very many Ironborn men, so I'm not sure how long they will last. We will most likely see Theon Greyjoy die trying to save Bran. If they can get the Night King into the Godswood, that's when they will unleash the dragons. Now I'm not entirely sure if we will see Jon ride the dragon during the attack on the Night King. I'm assuming that he will because you can see just how far away Jon and Dany are from the battle. The dragons will be the only way they can get there fast enough. We already know Dany rides Drogon into battle because we can see her flying into the storm. However, somehow Jon Snow does end up on foot. He also loses his big heavy fur coat. We can see him standing here on the battlefield and he's no longer wearing that fur coat. This has to be much later into the battle. You can see that there is snow falling all around him, and he does have a terrified look on his face. I'm wondering if something might have happened to one of the dragons, maybe even the dragon that Jon was riding. The dragon might have been killed even as Jon was riding it. Maybe that's how he loses his fur coat and ends up on foot. I really don't know. Now Jon does eventually make it into the Godswood during the battle. You can see the trees are right behind him in the photo, and you can also see the snow is coming down in the photo as well. I'm guessing this is right when the Night King comes into the Godswood after Bran. You can clearly see that Jon has already been fighting for quite some time. He does not look so fresh and so clean like he did when him and Dany were overlooking all the soldiers. This will be near the end of the episode. I even think this is when Jon will challenge the Night King. They had to have included this in the trailer for good reason. The camera focuses on Jon Snow as he grabs Longclaw. I think it's a very dramatic moment in the episode. Since we can see Jon is in the Godswood now, I'm thinking this is going to be the showdown against the Night King. This means Jon and the Night King are no longer on their dragons, so there is a very good chance that both of them could be dead. Now you may be wondering what happens to Jon and Dany during the battle. Do either one of them die? No matter how the battle ends, I do think we will see Jon and Dany make it out of there. They will go on to live another day. I know they make it out of Winterfell because there is still one scene from the trailer that we have yet to see. Jon and Daenerys do eventually make it down to Dragonstone, so I know they will not die at this Winterfell battle. We still have to see that scene when Jon and Dany are together at Dragonstone. If you look at the photos very carefully, you can confirm the location of the scene. First, let's look at one of the images we know is on Dragonstone. Here we can see Tyrion Lannister. This is from Season 7, Episode 6, when Tyrion and Dany are talking about Jon Snow. Now try to focus on the decorations right in front of the fireplace. Now if you look at the scene of Jon and Dany, you will see that both of those decorations are there as well. You can see the very tops of them on both sides of Dany. Let me show you those again so you can get a good look. Now focus on the shadows that are on the wall of the fireplace. You can see those exact same shadows in the scene where Tyrion is sitting in front of the fireplace. In my opinion, that is definitely Dragonstone, so we know Jon and Dany do make it down here eventually. That obviously means Jon and Dany do not die during the battle for Winterfell. Now whether the Night King is still alive or not is anyone's guess. I cannot confirm what happens to the Night King at the battle for Winterfell. All I know is Jon and Dany do make it down to Dragonstone. Even if they defeat the entire army of the dead, they will most likely not be able to live at Winterfell until some heavy renovations are done. The Stark's castle will suffer some significant damage. Not only will there be 100,000 dead bodies lying all over the front yard, but there will also be several fires all around the entire castle. We also know the army of the dead make it inside of the castle because we have seen them running after Arya Stark. Now it's hard to say if they will have to abandon Winterfell during the battle or not. They might not have to run if that is Jon challenging the Night King in the Godswood. If Jon is able to kill him in that scene, then we should see the rest of the Night King's army die almost simultaneously. Also, don't forget, every time they kill a White Walker, it will also kill all the Whites that White Walker reanimated. We won't see someone fight the Night King until the very end of the episode, but if they're able to kill most of the White Walkers, then we could see the Night King lose thousands and thousands of whites just by killing them. That's who all the main characters should aim for first. Go for the White Walkers until the Night King gets there. Now I know that's easier said than done. I know. I am very excited for the upcoming battle this Sunday. I hope they are able to kill the Night King in this episode, but if they aren't, at least we know Jon and Dany do make it out of there to fight another day. Now we just have to hope Dany's dragons don't get killed in the battle either. Let me know what you think about the images from the trailer. Do you think the Night King shows up for the biggest battle in Game of Thrones history? I think he will. Now he may not fall into their trap like they want him to, but I do think he shows up and fights Jon in the Godswood. We are only days away from finding out, so I guess we will know very soon. Anyways, I want to thank you all for watching another video, and I also want to thank everyone on Patreon for supporting the channel. I hope y'all have a great day. I will see you again very soon. Bye.